If you're even considering purchasing a property over the next 12 months, this video is definitely going to be for you, and it's talking about what is a buyer strategy session. And more specifically, in this video, we're going to talk about who is this for, meaning who should be doing a buyer strategy session. This might be for you. And what is a buyer strategy session? So talking about the different things that are covered within one and really what the goal of it is. And then we'll finish up the video talking about what next steps look like. And if you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Stubbs. I'm a team leader and owner here of Onyx Homes. And I want to dive right into this. So let's talk about who should be doing a buyer strategy session. So way too often, consumers such as yourself might be scrolling through Zillow or SoCalHomesForSale.com or different websites like that with homes that are listed for sale, thinking that you're doing research about the home buying process. And yes, you're researching the different types of properties and where they're at, and that's frankly the fun part of buying real estate. But there is so many more pieces to the puzzle, and way too often we see people only scrolling through homes for sale and not going through the entire other part of buying a home, which we cover inside of a buyer strategy session. Let me give you an example that, again, it just happens far too often. Is you might be scrolling through Zillow on the couch and you see a house that you actually like. Now you go look at the property and God forbid you actually think about maybe purchasing it. And if you don't do this for a living and if you don't know what you're doing, there's a lot that goes into buying a property that you probably aren't aware of. And if the only research you've been doing is homes for sale, while it's important, it really is the tip of the iceberg in the home buying process. Now, a lot of the times when we see this happen, a client might be rushing through the process. So they see a property that they like, they think about writing an offer, and then they get introduced to a 20 to 30 page contract or an offer, and there's 500 additional pages in the actual escrow itself, not to mention learning about contingencies, getting your pre-approval, and learning what a fully underwritten approval means, how to write an aggressive RPA. So my point is, when you get to the point where you might find a house that you actually want to buy, the only question you should be asking yourself is this the right property for me or me and my family or for my investment or whatever it's for? That should be the only question you're asking is this the right property for me to buy? The questions you should not be asking are, how do I buy a house? How do I get fully underwritten? How do I get the best deal possible? How do I protect myself from losing my earnest money deposit? How do I get the best financing possible? And how do I know I'm not buying a lemon of a house and buying a house that has a whole bunch of problems? You shouldn't be thinking of any of those different questions. So to answer the question of who should be doing a buyer strategy session is, if you're thinking about buying in the next 12 months or sooner, or even a little bit after that, that's definitely the person you should be doing a buyer strategy session. All right, now let's talk about what is a buyer strategy session. So I always say there's three major things that we cover with our clients inside of the buyer strategy session. And in this video, I'm gonna go through each of those as well so you can get an idea of what to expect once you do book your own buyer strategy session. So while we make content like this so that you can get as much information as possible up front, everybody, including yourself, has your own unique situation that requires a one-on-one consultation. So I'll give you as much information as I can here, and then you can get all your unique situations or unique questions answered in that consultation. But there are three things, like I said, that we cover in the strategy sessions. So first and foremost is we talk about what our clients are doing to take advantage of the market. That's number one. Number two is we talk about how we keep you protected through the entire process, you and your money. And number three is we talk about how to get you the best deal possible under whatever the different circumstances are. So those are the top three things that we cover. And I jokingly say that these can take 20 minutes or 2 hours. It really just depends on how many questions you ask. We typically book them for an hour just to make sure we have enough time, and we book ourselves for an extra hour after the fact because a lot of people in your shoes have a ton of questions, and we want to make sure we cover everything because this is one of the biggest purchases you've probably ever made and might ever make in your entire life. All right, now let's go through each of the three things individually to kind of break down why these are so important to cover. And I've also got a couple of stories to tie in as well too, to hopefully help you understand why the different points are so important that we cover. Okay, so first is what our clients are doing to take advantage of the market. The easy answer to this is that our clients are better informed and better prepared than other competitors out in the market. When I say other competitors, I'm talking about other buyers. There are well over 150 different points of negotiation inside of a real estate deal. And one of the ways that we win for our clients is knowing how to negotiate on all of those points. Price is where most people get stuck. And yes, of course, price is extremely important in any deal. but it's not the most important thing all the time. On top of that, market knowledge is huge. What is going on right now in our local market versus what is going on in news headlines is some of what I mean with market knowledge. And if you're not already on our newsletter, ocmarketupdates.com is where you should go to subscribe to that, where we talk about our local market here and how to make sure that you know what's going on in the marketplace. So that's ocmarketupdates.com if you're not already on our email newsletter. So market knowledge is not only what is going on, but it's also the different off-market properties that are going on in the marketplace. This is something that 99% of agents do not know what is going on because frankly, they're not doing enough business to really have the relationships to talk to enough people who are thinking about selling their property. And they definitely don't have a network like we do of sellers and agents who tell us they are thinking about putting a property on the market and give us access to it before that actually happens. So market knowledge is incredibly important, and it's also really specific to where you're looking. And if you're able to find a seller that is willing to sell off market, 99% of the time, the buyer is the one who wins in that situation. Those are a few different points of how we are helping our clients take advantage of the market. So let's move on to number 2, which is how we keep you protected through the entire process. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions is that when buying real estate, you are better off not working with a buyer's agent, or even worse, going and working directly with the listing agent. I'm gonna go over a couple of different reasons why that might not be the best idea, but then I'm also gonna talk about why that would possibly make sense. California is one of the few states that really allows for dual agency, which is where a listing agent is able to represent the seller and also represent the buyer. This is something we personally do not believe in at all. I do not think it should be allowed, but in California, it actually is. We always ask our sellers, would you even be comfortable if we did this? And we advise them to say no. That is how strongly we believe that this should not be allowed. But let me give you a couple of bullet points on how we protect our clients. We make sure that our clients are not in a position to lose their deposit. We coordinate a ton of due diligence so that our clients really know what they're buying. We help our clients navigate through over 500 documents through an entire purchase so that they are really educated on what they're going through and what they're really signing. And last but not least, we renegotiate when things are uncovered. And I'll highlight uncovered for now. Now, I mentioned working with a listing agent, why that might not be a bad idea. So let me give you a quick story. So I have an office lease for our team, Onyx Homes, and our lease is coming up. So I decided I might want to look at a couple of different options for commercial properties for our team that are for sale and for rent. And I went and looked at a property that was for sale. Now, keep in mind, I am a licensed agent. I can do commercial real estate, but residential is my wheelhouse, not commercial. So anyway, that's a little disclaimer. I go to the listing agent and I say, hey, I'd like to take a look at this property. And we go through and he's telling me all of the wonderful things about this property, all the different ways that I can utilize it for it to be wonderful for my business. And we spend about 45 minutes in the property together. And I come to the conclusion that this is not going to be a good fit for our company. And I let him know that and why I wasn't interested in that particular property. So then he proceeds to tell me, after I've told him that I'm not buying that property, he told me all of the reasons why I shouldn't buy that property. And even worse, all of the reasons why he was so mad at his seller, his client, for buying that property. He was so mad at his seller that he didn't represent the seller when they bought that property. He was so against them buying it. After he just got done spending 45 minutes telling me all of the reasons that I should buy it. This is what it looks like to work with the listing agent. His job is to sell that property for as much money as possible and to protect the seller. Nowhere in the listing agent's job description is there to give the buyer the best deal possible. And that is just the reality of even myself as somebody that is a very good negotiator. I know real estate, I'm licensed myself. Even in that type of a situation, who knows what would have happened if I actually thought that property was a good fit. Needless to say, I have a commercial real estate agent that I know and trust who is helping us through this entire purchase as well too. But I tell this story to give you a real life example of something that just happened to me personally of what it looks like to work with a listing agent. And again, remember this, the seller hires and pays the listing agent to do two things: sell the house for as much money as possible and protect the seller through the entire process, not give the buyer the best deal possible. Here's another easy comparison for this as well too. Let's say you are getting sued and an attorney comes up to you and says, hey, my client is suing you for $1 million. Let's say you're buying $1 million property. This is an easy comparison. Are you going to ask that attorney who's suing you for $1 million to represent you and defend you against this lawsuit? Of course not. That would be insane. That would actually be insane. Obviously it's not allowed because it doesn't make any sense. So we can all agree that you would never do that. But What if that attorney said that they'd give you a better deal if you did? I think that would be 10 times more reason to not work with that agent, or that attorney, I mean, because that'd be incredibly unethical. Not only does it not make sense, it's incredibly unethical. So this is, again, exactly what it looks like to work with the listing agent. Their job is to sell the house for as much money as possible and protect the seller. Whereas a buyer's agent, which would be us if you chose to work together moving forward, our job, we don't really care what house you buy. We wanna make sure you buy the house that's right for you. We wanna make sure you're protected through the entire process. We get you the best deal possible. And in a competitive market, that you actually get the house you want. So that is the buyer's agent's job, is not to sell the house for as much money as possible and protect the seller, is to protect you and your real estate through the entire process. And frankly, that might sound a little bit cheesy, but protecting you and your real estate is quite literally the tagline of our company, Onyx Homes. So we do go into a ton of detail of actually how we protect our clients through the entire process in the buyer strategy session. So you should definitely set one up if you're looking to buy in the next 12 months. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was number 3, is how we get our clients the best deal possible under whatever the different circumstances are. Now, price is important, which we talked about earlier, but there are also over 150 different negotiation points in a real estate deal. Now, our goal is to make your offer look as good as possible everywhere except for the purchase price, so that we can have a seller make the decision of, gosh, this offer is just a little bit lower than the other ones, but the terms are so much better that we're gonna go with that one. And by leveraging all of these different points in the contract, we are able to save our clients thousands of dollars. So let me give you a story on this topic as well too. So recently we had a client that wrote an offer on a property that had 8 other offers on it. And we were able to save this client $70,000. Let me explain how. This client did exactly what you are doing now and learned about a buyer strategy session, and they went through and did it. And then they took all of the advice we gave them in the offer writing process. Not only did we win out of 8 other offers on the property that they absolutely had to have, we won with our terms by being $70,000 lower than the highest offer. So we saved our client at least $70,000 by negotiating the terms on everything else. Remember those 150 other points? And the best part about this is not just winning the property that they really wanted, but also getting it for $70,000 lower than the highest price. The property actually appraised for $50,000 more than we actually had our clients pay for the property. This is a huge win for the clients, and this is what we love to do over and over and over again. All right, now let's talk about what happens after the buyer strategy session. So if you go down below and you click to book a buyer strategy session, you'll go through and do your one-on-one consultation with your agent. And then afterwards, we're gonna talk about what it looks like to work together and what it looks like to become an Onyx Homes VIP client. Our clients get access to a ton of different bonuses and guarantees to make your life easier, to save you as much money as possible, and to make sure that you have the best possible experience when buying your next piece of property. And if we don't end up working together, you'll walk away with a ton of free information. There's no cost, there's no obligation to doing this buyer strategy session, so you really don't have very much to lose. So if you want to sign up for your buyer strategy session, make sure you fill out the form or click the link down below, and we will be happy to set you up with that consultation. Now, whether we do this strategy session in person or online, I always recommend coming prepared to take notes. Make sure you're at a desktop or a laptop or something where you can see the full screen, because we have a bunch of visuals, because if you're anything like me, you learn by visuals as well too, which is one of the many reasons why we make so many videos. And if you're not quite ready to set that up, but you know of somebody who is thinking to buy, make sure to send this video over to them and see if it helps them out as well too. So we're looking forward to seeing you in that strategy session. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Again, my name is Christian, and I'll see you in the next video.